Welcome to Regiments. We've been looking forward to this modern war game for quite a while, and it's finally here. Now, I want to take you on a tour of essentially what the game has to offer. We're going to jump into a battle here as a regiment and hopefully secure an excellent victory. Now, first things first, we are playing a preview version, so there's a lot more to come. But to be clear, there is a meeting engagement mode, a skirmish mode, essentially, where you get to choose between NATO and the Warsaw Pact. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys all of the different groups you can have here. Everything from 11th Cavalry to Chasseurs. So really interesting stuff. The same is true for the Warsaw Pact nations over here. Although I think that the Warsaw Pact nations are kind of lacking a few. Nonetheless, we're going to jump into operations. Now, let me be clear. The way it works in this game is it's basically about the entire conflict, the entire, Cold War gone hot conflict. So you're going to play as the Soviets, yes, but you're also going to play as the Allies. So this first one, Dissonance, is about us trying to, of course, take ground as a Soviet Panzer regiment, Panzer Division Militiabezirk. So I believe this is probably an East German Panzer regiment. Either way, we're going to find out. So let's jump in and take a look at the game. Wish me luck, and don't forget to hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps us out. Now, the game is called Regiments for a reason, I should say, and that is, of course, that you're going to be leading regiments into battle. Now, there's a number of actual ones we could take here, but I'm going to start pretty normal here with Apparat. This is a mechanized task force, should be able to bring us quite a few riflemen. I'm also going to get an armored task force over here, if we can afford it. Looks like we might not be able to. Let's jump over here and see if there are any for 50, but that's not going to be the case. So we might be stuck with just Apparat here going forward. In terms of operational authority, that's about all we're going to have. We are also getting some tactical support, I believe. In fact, we're going to have to go ahead and select it. And let's see here. Jump right into the actual game. So we can, of course, select events here, and over time we will unlock more points to, of course, unlock additional units, but we need to keep things fairly straightforward right now. Let's go ahead and reduce the HQ command status. No, we want to do an extra Recon TACA unit is available during the battle, and let's jump into Dissonance Phase 1 and get a victory. Now, the game is called Regiments for a reason, and simply put, initially when the game begins, you are, of course, leading a regiment. Now, over time, as you unlock more of those points, you'll get more regiments, but how does that affect the game? Good question. So, let's say we get one of these tanks out, and he gets badly damaged in the battle, or even destroyed in the battle. When we try to call him in again, we're going to need, of course, a certain number of points to make that happen, and obviously, if he's destroyed, that's going to be close to impossible, to put it simply. So, we're going to go ahead and just try and take these locations, etc., and secure them, and at that point, we should be able to get additional points from those locations, bring in additional manpower, etc., etc. It all works beautifully together. Now, right now, I'm going pretty heavy on the Rifleman. I'm also going to bring in some Shilkas, and I think that's going to be it. But the goal here is going to be first, let's grab these guys, move into the Bischofrode region, and we're going to grab this team right here and just keep going up to the Grove. In fact, we can order them to fast move. I'm not going to bother, though. I'm simply going to get started. And actually, let me keep my choppers back here. Now, of course, we are playing as the Soviets, if you haven't figured that out already. I'm hoping you have. But of course, if you want to, you can play as NATO. I do believe it's the second campaign or the third campaign. I believe you start off with the Soviets here just to kind of learn, how to play the game. And if you look at the smoke, the recon, and the heavy artillery we have, these are also skills that you can unlock with additional regiments. So, for instance, some regiments might have attack helicopters. Some may have napalm strikes. It really depends. So that's one huge bonus of this game, is just the amount of variety in the units. You're going to be unlocking new units throughout the game. And there we go. Contact has been established, guys. I love seeing our choppers here attacking them. Absolutely amazing. Now, what I need to do with the BTR is actually change the mode. So we want to make sure that these guys are actually out fighting on foot. They're going to be a lot more effective as anti-tank troops this way. So absolutely beautiful getting into Bischofrode. I'm also going to start targeting the riflemen there. way too close to our tanks. We should not have gotten this close, but lessons are learned every single time, of course, in this game. I'm going to just keep the mortars back. They're taking a hell of a hit. And it looks like our AT infantry is going to continue forward. You know what? I'm going to give them some support. Although, you know what? Right now, we need this chopper here to defend. Let me call in the heavy artillery on that enemy infantry. Now, as you can see, this tank group is taking some hits, and if we retreat them, what happens is they will go back to base. They'll take some time to rest and recuperate, and they will return. Once again, oh boy, I want to make sure that that rifleman is out on its feet, engaging the enemy there. And so far, so good, guys. I believe Bishfroda is ours. It is indeed. I'm actually going to jump back here and call in additional units, and you can see as we unlock points, we're going to be able to unlock additional units. The one thing, though, since you have a regiment, right, is you are not going to be able to call in, like, 2 copies or 2 versions of a single unit. You know, you have to wait for an additional regiment, so you've got to wait to unlock that regiments number 2 and 3. All right. Oh, yeah, look at that. Our mortars are actually coming in and doing some significant damage. And since this tank is so badly wounded, guys, we're going to retreat with him. Again, because if you retreat with the unit, just like in a real battle, you will save the lives of some of the men, and they can fight for you later. As you can imagine, that's a huge deal. It looks like our rifleman is doing just fine here. Let's bring in... Oh, no. So as you can see, guys, our helicopter is out of supply. Now, what we can do is, of course, bring in a supply truck. But we're going to have to wait for the points to do that. So I'm setting up the tank. Hopefully that'll help us take this area a little easier. I'm also going to put our infantry over in this side of the town. Just seems like that would be an easier place to defend. And let's get the Shilka right there as well. And so far, so good. Could also do some area recon. Let's do that just to discover what the enemy has in this location without getting too close. We are still hitting them with tanks from a distance here. I love the actual range in this game. It's just so well done. There we go. Let's bring in some heavy artillery on the existing enemy positions. Because, of course, they're going to harass us over here in the woods. That's going to be problematic. And I'm also going to push into the grove just to make sure that it is completely under our control. 3, 2, 1, here we go. We're also calling in consistent mortar fire. Gotta love that. And you can see the enemy unit retreating there. There we go. Some wonderful shots. All right, Grove is nearly ours. And look at that. We can not only bring in a tank, but we can also bring in the supply. I'm going to bring in the supply truck first. And actually, I'm tempted to just bring in another BMP Rifleman unit. I think that's what I'm going to do. You can see the Riflemen, when they're on the ground, they're very effective against tanks. The real problem is artillery and other Riflemen, essentially. And as you guys see, guys, we've got that point determined right there, 25. So it even tells you how many points you're going to get. Push into the farm. There's also multiple other areas that you can attack at. And as you can see, your allies... Sorry, not here. Oh, is it here? Yeah, your allies, you can also see them on the map. So pretty amazing. High visibility. Oh, boy. Focus on the guys in the forest there. I'm going to try to call in some additional heavy artillery on those guys. And for sure, we're going to have to fall back with the tank. Enemy's doing way too much damage with that tank. Here we go. We've got those riflemen on the way, folks. Let's see if that supply vehicle has arrived yet. Not yet. I'm, like, looking right at it, and I'm like, has it arrived yet? Here we go. All right, looks like they're bringing in some Shilkas of their own. In this case, BRDMs. Hit them, boys. Hit them. You can also see, guys, that your units will gain ranks. So the stronger they get, the higher ranks they start to get. And of course, you know, if they get higher ranks, they're a better unit, basically. Just much more combat effective. They do more damage. They have more defense. So it's a huge bonus. There we go. Let's hope we don't have to land these bastards. And as you can see, these guys are out of the tank, so I'm going to have to change the mode, because they don't actually move very quickly outside of the vehicle, as you can imagine. Now, look at that. Yeah, we're definitely going to retreat. A bunch of enemies right there. And I'm going to call it a heavy artillery strike right where I saw them all. But I'm not going to start pushing in the area. And in fact, it would be nice to have some defensive units. Let's bring in the Mi-24. He's still lacking ammo. He could, of course, use more, but he's got basically a new cache of rockets. Look at that, man. They are doing everything they can to push on this particular location. And, of course, we're going to keep pushing forward with the BMPs. Yep, they're running out of ammo already, man. We've got to get that supply wagon there right now. Let's also see if we can't bring in some tanks. And, in fact, we can bring in some T-72s. That's going to be very helpful. Of course, we're going to have to wait for them to get here. And that is, of course, a bit of an issue on its own. Get them, lads. Get them. Look at that. We've got our mortar carriers right there. The enemy is just now retreating. So we're going to get into the forest here. I don't want to stay in the open field. And once that tank arrives, that's when I'm going to consider actually heading out there to take them on. It looks like our supply is almost already out. So, my goodness, that chopper ate up a bunch of supply. And we didn't get much back, unfortunately. So we could also bring in that BRDM team, the BTR team, I should say. The guys that actually ranked up. I think it's going to be very helpful. And again, my goal here is to just keep these guys in their vehicles until we spot an enemy, because we want to try and maximize speed, of course. And if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that there is a speed toggle. There's also just a map letting you know kind of what's going on. And you can fight on a single map for multiple days. So if we don't take this today, we probably won't take the entire map today anyway, then we absolutely are going to have to fight for it a little bit later on. Nice. I think we saw a little bug there. Did you guys see that blue flash? Like maybe it's something else, but I'm pretty sure it's a bug. And you can see consistent mortar fire on that target. Absolutely beautiful. So we're moving in with the Rifleman. Okay, we did have ammo. Beautiful. So I can send in the Mi-24 behind. Let's go. All right, we've got these guys arriving. And you know what? We haven't gotten any contact from over here. What I might try to do, I mean, one thing I could do is carry out an attack over there. But what I might try to do is just bring this infantry up here. Here we go. Not now, though. Speaking of infantry. Get him, guys. Get him. We've almost got the farm, guys. We've almost got the farm. Nice. I believe that's the enemy running away right there. Absolutely fantastic. Let's also make sure that T-72 is moving up here too. Although, you know what?
Zone captured.
Speak of the devil. We could just go for Charlie here. And you know what? It's a big risk because the enemy could attack from there at any point and sort of, you know, take this area. You know, you kind of have to think tactically. So knowing that that's so close to one of our points, we'd be better off taking it and removing that threat. Now, of course, we are moving over open territory. This is not something I would always recommend. But in this situation, I think we're going to be just fine. Let's go over here, grab our Rifleman. And even though they are dismounted, I'm going to push with them. I just want them to be prepared. And let's grab Charlie. Love how you can actually still see the burning vehicles. Just such a nice touch. All right, look at that. Hostile fire almost immediately. We can't forget that we still have some heavy artillery. And I actually want to use it against this infantry right there. We're going to get those guys out, because of course in their vehicles they are very susceptible to damage. And look at that, man. Enemy's doing extremely well here. I'm going to have to fall back with this tank fairly soon. At least that artillery's coming in, and they are dug in. That's why. So, of course, getting into a dug-in position, much more of a challenge than a position where they're just, you know, out and about. And those hits are coming in really nicely on the enemy. They've got an exceptional dug-in position, but look at those artillery strikes. And look at that tank, man. They've got a hell of a tank over here. Just terrifying. I'm going to have to retreat with him. We don't want him to get hurt anymore. And we'll keep this BTR team right here, but I don't think this is going to go well for them, so we might even actually fall back. They're just going to end up taking a whole lot of damage unnecessarily. And I think if we're going to attack that location, we need to get a few more artillery strikes on it, and we need to bring that hind. There we go. T-72 is ready to go. Bring him in. You see the BTR have taken a nasty amount of damage. I'm going to try to hit that tank from the outskirts of the town. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be, though. It really depends. The range on these guys is what's important. You know what? We're going to bring in that hind. And now that we have the heavy artillery strike, I'm going to call it in on that tank. And the reason I'm prioritizing that target, and because, you know, I think these infantry targets are probably more of a threat to us taking the zone. But the reason I'm prioritizing this target is the rank. This is actually a pretty highly ranked unit, so defeating it completely would likely be a good thing. So we're going to go ahead and do just that. Here we go. Hind's going to take it on. I'm hoping with the assistance of the artillery, this will be just amazing. But that hind is taking a hell of a lot of damage. My goodness, let's get him out of there. And unfortunately, the hind is down. We've got to kill that tank. We absolutely have to kill it because he hasn't retreated yet. So there's a chance here of just destroying him all at once. And you can see that timer. We're down to 7:15, so there's a little bit of time left. But I really want to destroy that unit completely. Okay, it looks like he's going to or has retreated. So what we're going to do is start setting up around Charlie. Of course, trying to spot additional enemy units. In fact, I can do area recon here. Oh boy! So radio intercept reports an attack with 2 to 3 platoons involved. This lets us know what's on the way, of course. We're going to try to just see where that attack's coming from first. Over there. So it's nowhere really near our units. It might come down this way, but I suspect it's going to go this way. Well, we'll have to see. Probably not a bad idea to get prepared, right, folks? So as soon as we take out that mechanized group, I'm going to turn my attention to this one. And look, that tank is still there! Can you believe it? So I'm going to focus on them entirely for a bit here. Let our T-72 take on the BTR. Still keeping my eyes up there. And actually, I'm starting to spot the enemy unit. Let's put the heavy artillery right there. Yep, it's the right thing to do. I think both of these guys are going to need to reinforce. But let's hope the artillery does its job and keeps the enemy out completely. Now, we're going to have to fall back for sure, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to retreat with the BMP. Save the few troops left there. And we are going to send in, of course, additional reinforcements wherever we can. We are almost on Charlie, and actually the enemy is foolishly moving their mechanized units right past us. That should be an easy kill. Nice. And I think we should be able to take Charlie back at a minimum.
5 minutes remaining.
I'm actually waiting for an additional infantry unit to be available here.
And while we're at it, guys, let's get this supply vehicle over here. He can help to supply the mortar.
I don't think we get another chopper. We essentially just had one chopper for the entire regiment. So even though those air units might be enjoyable, keep in mind they are expensive. No doubt about that. We already have actual armor pushing on Zone Charlie. I'm hoping we haven't arrived too late to help them out. And look at that. No, we do have the Hind. Hey, that's beautiful. So you know what? I'm going to bring the Hind in. The enemy is going to attack in force here. Gotta love that Soviet armor. So far, it's keeping the enemy at bay. And once that infantry arrives, just look at that. We should be able to defend this point pretty well without issue. But there's still a lot of enemies. And look at that. T-72 is taking hits very fast. Come on, come on, come on. I'd like to see that Hind arriving on time. That is wonderful. We're also going to change mode with the BTR so they're on the ground. And I think we may have just taken out the enemy BTRs. I'm hoping we have. With the Hind here, I feel much safer. Let's get out of there with the T-72. Fortunately, there's just no point in keeping him around. Gonna call in heavy artillery. It is danger close, but I believe this heavy artillery could completely eliminate that threat. Let's see. While we're at it, let's bring in some infantry. If we can. If not, we can wait a bit. Unfortunately not. We're going to have to just hold. That artillery strike is doing a tremendous job, though, and I'm pretty sure this AT infantry can get rid of that T-55. Pretty sure we have the advantage. It would be nicer to be in the woods. But again, our weapons should knock them out pretty easily. I love this system, by the way. What the enemy does is sort of creates like a see-through ethereal hole here, so that if there's an enemy unit in the forest, you don't have to really mess with the visuals. I just think that's a great idea. I haven't seen any other games do that. I'm sure it's been done before. I just can't recall when it has been done. Pretty good. So we've got the area fairly under control here. Can we get BMPs? Yes, we can. We could also get additional T-72s. But I think right now, especially since there's not much left in this battle, it's best to just invest in infantry units, because they're going to be defensive units here. Look at that. That's the first time I've seen a tank run out of ammo. Let's send the supply vehicles over here. And it looks like we will be able to bring in some more T-72s, so that's fantastic. I'm going to do an area recon on the farm area. Just kind of see what we're working with. Because if the enemy has nothing here, well, we can go ahead and attack. And if they do have something, we can drop some artillery. So they might just be bypassing it to go here. I want to hold on until we know for sure where that unit is headed. All right, guys, pulling in that heavy artillery. We're going to hope that this infantry could hold on, but I doubt it. They're already taking some pretty nasty hits. Kind of being overwhelmed by this Soviet attack.
1 minute remaining.
There's the arty. We waited long enough for the arty to be called in. I think we've done our job.
Zone lost.
And of course, you can have zones in between. Like, you could take this zone, they take this, and then you have to deal with, of course, a gap in between your zones. We're not dealing with that this time, thankfully, so I'm simply going to push forward with the BMP and the tank. I'm hoping it's enough to dislodge them. Although they're fairly weak, tanks and BMPs. And again, the sooner you retreat your men, the easier it's going to be to rank them. Because think about it. If your guys keep getting killed and they've got a higher rank, you're never going to have guys that are at a higher rank veterans to teach the new recruits. So even if you've got like a really high ranked unit and it's down to like 50%, I would recommend retreat, redeploy the unit, and it's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger every time. And once again, we're going to have to get them into that first person that standard mode. And there we go, guys. So of course we get an after action report. You can go through and see exactly what unit killed which unit, etc., which I think is a really nice bit of a detail. And once that's done, we go to next phase. You can of course retry if you want. And over here you can see we've got those 57 points. It's not yet going to be enough to purchase another regiment, but we've got the existing regiment. We can upgrade it, and the upgrade is going to bring additional units, in this case a BMP-1 and a Govgochka. So really, really cool. And we're going to jump back into battle. So as you can see, we will be on the same map. It'll take the same amount of damage, or the damage will be there. There'll be craters from the previous battle. And only once we get through this map do we move on to the next part of the campaign. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also consider becoming a member for just $3 a month. It really helps me out. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.